In your opinion, what is the duty of a doctor? Most likely, we all know that the first oath a doctor takes is that he must try his best to treat the patient under any circumstances. But now join me as I tell you the very terrible story of Dr. Thap, whose crimes are so unfortunate that even you will find it hard to believe. However, there is a positive point in the last paragraph of this story that changed the existing laws in forensic medicine. Harold Shipman was an English general practitioner and serial killer. He is known as one of the most prolific serial killers in history, with around 250 victims. On January 31, 2000, Shipman was found guilty of murdering 15 of his patients. Thus, he was sentenced to life imprisonment. Shipman committed suicide by hanging himself in his Wakefield prison cell on January 13, 2004 at the age of 57. A 2-year investigation into all the murders carried out by Shipman found he targeted vulnerable elderly people, but the patients trusted him because he was their doctor. He kills his victims or by prescribing large amounts of illegal drugs. Nicknamed Dr. Death, Shipman is the only British doctor to date convicted of murdering his patients. Family and education. According to Iran, Shipman was born on January 14, 1946 at Bestwood Estate in Nottingham as the second of 3 children of Harold Shipman. His father was a truck driver and his parents were from the working class. When Shipman grew up, he was an accomplished rugby player in youth leagues. In 1957, Shipman completed the 11th grade and went to Nottingham School, but left in 1964. He was a runner and played as vice-captain of the track and field team in his senior year. Shipman was very close to his mother, but his mother died of lung cancer when he was 17 years old. His death occurred in a manner similar to what later became Shipman's modus operandi. In the later stages of the disease, he was euthanized by a doctor at home with an injection of morphine. Shipman watched his mother's pain ease until her death on June 21, 1963. He married Primer Mayokstabi on November 5, 1966. In this way, the couple had 4 children. Shipman studied medicine at Leeds Medical School, graduating in 1970. Job. Shipman started at Yorkshire General Hospital and in 1974 took his first position as a general practitioner at the Abraham Ormerod Medical Centre. The following year, Shipman was caught forging a prescription for pethidine. He was fined £600 and briefly worked at a drug addiction clinic in York. In 1977 he worked as a general practitioner at Donnybrook Medical Centre in Hyde, Manchester. Shipman continued to work as a general practitioner in Hyde during the 1980s, and in 1983, he was interviewed on television about how to treat the mentally ill. Diagnosis. In March 1998, Linda Reynolds of Brooks Surgeons in Hyde raised concerns and warned John Pollard, Chief Coroner for South Manchester, about the high death rate among Shipman's patients. In particular, he was concerned about the large number of cremation forms for elderly women. The police could not find enough evidence to press charges and close the investigation. After the investigation was closed, Shipman killed 3 more people. A few months later, a taxi driver named John Shaw told the police that Shipman had murdered 21 patients. Shaw became suspicious of him because many of the elderly clients he took to the hospital, who appeared to be in good health, died under Shipman's care. The last victim. Shipman's last victim was former Hyde Mayor Kathleen Grundy, who was found dead in her home on June 24, 1998. He later signed the death certificate and recorded the cause of death as old age. Grundy's daughter became suspicious when she was informed that her mother had drawn up wills but deleted them and left £386,000 to Shipman. With his complaint, the police started an investigation. Exhumation was done and the body was examined in forensic medicine. In this way, traces of heroin, which was often given to cancer patients for pain control, were obtained. Shipman claimed Grundy was a drug addict and showed police evidence. However, a police examination of his computer revealed that the information was written after Grundy's death. Shipman was arrested on September 7, 1998 and found to be in possession of a typewriter with which he had forged Grundy's will. They found evidence of lethal doses of heroin, signed death certificates of patients and then falsified medical records to show they were in bad shape. Trial and prison. Shipman's trial began at Preston Crown Court on the 5th of October 1999. He was accused of murdering 15 women with lethal injections of heroin. On January 31, 2000, after 6 days, a jury found Shipman guilty of 15 counts of murder and 1 count of forgery. Therefore, Judge Ford sentenced Shipman to life imprisonment on all 15 counts of murder, and 11 days after the conviction, Shipman was removed from the medical list. 2 years later, the Interior Minister confirmed his life sentence. Thus Shipman befriended serial killer Peter Moore in prison. Shipman pleaded not guilty and challenged the scientific evidence against him. He never publicly commented on his actions. Even after his conviction, Shipman's wife maintained that he was not guilty. Shipman is the only doctor in British medical history found guilty of murdering his patients. Death. Shipman hanged himself in his cell at Hem Wakefield Prison at 6:20 a.m. on January 13, 2004 at the age of 57. Some of the victims' families said they felt cheated because Shipman's suicide meant they would never have the satisfaction of a confession and no answers as to why he committed his crimes. Shipman's death was widely reported in the media and he was called a cold coward. Also, Shipman's motive for suicide was never determined. After Shipman's body was released to his family, it remained in Sheffield for over a year. The police advised his wife not to bury her husband quickly. Finally, on March 19, 2005, his body was cremated outside working hours, and only his wife and 4 children were present for security. Consequences. In January 2001, West Yorkshire Police Chief Detective Constable Chris Gregg was appointed to investigate 22 deaths. After months, he came to the conclusion that Drive Shipman caused the death of at least 218 of his patients between 1975 and 1998. Most of his victims were healthy old women. In all, between 1971 and 1998, 459 people died under his care, but it is unclear how many were homicide victims because he was often the only physician to certify death. Police estimate Shipman's number of victims over a 27-year period was 250. Also in 2005, Shipman was found to have stolen jewelry from his victims. In 1998, police seized more than 10,000 pounds of jewelry from his garage. Thus, a memorial garden for Shipman's victims, called the Garden of Serenity, was opened in Hyde Park. Shipman Effect. The Shipman case led to changes in standard medical practice in the UK and the way death certificates were issued. The biggest change was the move from single doctor general practices to multi-doctor general practices so that there is adequate protection and oversight of doctors' decisions.